The EPCHS. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPCHS.com.
And welcome into the EP Podcast. My name is Chris. Hannah and Erica are sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, and we are ready for 30 minutes of good in a world of dumb, brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, who knows that when you're working toward a financial goal, every little bit counts. And that's why when you open up a Total Access checking account, you'll get free ATMs nationwide and a $300 bonus. Plus, you get great mobile and online banking tools. You'll have easy access to your money. Open online at bankevergreenpark.com/total access. $100 required to open. Requirements to qualify. Must use link to apply. Member FDIC. I stopped in there the other day because I had to gather up whatever was left that I had put inside the bank when we were the featured spotlight business inside of the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. We were supposed to be there for 1 month, and my display was so cool, they asked me to stay for an extra month because I had like all kinds of free hats and keychains and koozies and just like all this extra equipment and the microphones. And they're like, this thing looks awesome. Keep it another month. And I'm like, I got to take it back because there's just so much going on right now. And I'm just like at one event after another event after another event, not only for the EP podcast, but also for Socks in the Basement and for the podcast Southside Pod that covers outside of Evergreen Park. And so I just was like, I got to get whatever you got left. There wasn't much left.
Well, that's good.
People picked over the stuff, which is good. I'm glad people went over and got some stuff, but they're over in that iconic building in 95th and Pulaski. Make sure you check them out. Glenn Pniewski's on the show. He's going to be joining us to talk about FantaSciFest, and Amy Kazin from Evergreen Park Community High School joins us as well. Stick around. We've got a good 30 minutes of good right here, found everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, and we're going to kick it off talking about the Evergreen Park State of the Village address being given by Mayor Kelly Burke this Thursday, October the 14th, over at the American Legion, 9701 South Kedzie Avenue, brought to you by the Evergreen Park Chamber of Commerce. It is a wonderful opportunity to meet other business owners, local officials, and community members. $25 for chamber members, $30 for non-members. The event kicks off on Thursday, October the 14th at noon. Learn more, get tickets at evergreenparkchamber.org. Evergreen Park Community High School is one of 1,591 schools across the country, a next-gen personal finance gold standard designation. They are one of only 66 schools in Illinois that require 1 semester of personal finance as a course to graduate. Class of 2022 graduation requirements include 1 semester of a course called Financial Literacy in the 21st Century, and Amy Kazin from Evergreen Park High School joining us later in this show. Meanwhile, the Evergreen Park Youth Department presents Open Gym Basketball and Open Gym Volleyball, and it all starts this week. Tuesday nights for volleyball, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., grades 5 to 8, with a $5 entry. Open Gym Basketball Friday nights, 6 to 8 p.m., starting this Friday, October the 15th, at the Activity Center. In fact, both at the Activity Center, 3220 West 98th Street, both for grades 5 through 8, both $5 entries. And that is your EP Podcast, Word on the Street, found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at the EPPodcast.com. So I want to pull the curtain back a little bit on how this show was constructed. Okay. And so we're going to be very, we're going to be very truthful with the listeners as to how this particular episode was constructed, because you're going to hear a very different Chris depending on what segment I do. And let me explain. So we're sitting here right now recording on Thursday night. All right. And that is right after game 1 of the American League Division Series.
I knew this was going to go Sox
It's going to go that way. Look, I got to tell you this is God's honest truth. Like, some people have a team and that's their team. Like, there are people who are Bears fans That's their team. They live and they die with the Bears, or you live and you die with the Bulls, or you live and you die with the Hawks, or you live and you die with the Saints, right? I mean,
yes.
or maybe you're really into like, I don't know, some sort of weird reality TV show, right? Like
Steelers.
Erica just loves watching My Big Fat Fabulous Life. I'm sure if she got hit by a bus, she'd be very upset and the bus would be broken. So I'm sorry. It's not because of how big she is. It's because of how annoying she is on that show. That woman is maybe the most obnoxious person on television.
She is a victim of everything.
Yes,
she is.
She is a victim of everything.
I don't even care that you're big, you're fat, you're fabulous. You're also annoying, and that's why I enjoy the image of you being hit by a bus. I don't think she's going to die from it. I just think you're just grazed by the bus.
I hope she listens to this.
I hope she does too. She'd probably yell about me on an entire episode.
Probably.
She'll get you canceled.
We get like 6 or 7 new
you
listeners.
hurt her feelings.
Yeah, because it's only you and like maybe 7 other people that watch that show. The show's terrible. All right, but anyway, there are things that we care about a lot. I care a lot about the White Sox. Like, it's the one sports team that if they're great, I'm happy. If they do badly, I'm distraught. And so we're recording this after game 1, where they just get their butts kicked by the Houston Astros in game 1. Now, I'm going to record Glenn Pniewski. When you hear him later on this show, it will be before game 2. So I'll probably be a little peppier,
You'll
right?
have some hope.
I got a little hope, and I'm getting ready for game 2. Amy Kazin, because of her scheduling, can only get over here after school on Friday. That'll be mid-game 2.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to have to pause the TV to talk to Amy. So when you listen to that segment on today's episode
You're
of
going
the
to hear
EP
Chris's
podcast,
fingers tapping on the bar. Amy,
right.
Okay.
I'm
Very
either
nice.
going to be rushing through the interview. I'm going to be depressed because they're getting their butts kicked again.
Don't say that.
I'm going to be really excited. I don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, like, it's going to be a mess. And then as soon as she leaves, I'm going to like usher out there like, thanks, Amy. That was great. Good job. It'll be on Monday's show. And I'm going to have to catch up to what's going on in the ballgame. All right. So that's what you're going to hear. Then I'm going to have to sit down on Saturday and put together any of the little things that the Village announces and add them into the show. And that'll be after game 2. So you might get a completely different, they could be tied up 1-1. They could be down 0-2. Like, that's going to have an effect on how you hear me on this show. And then when the show comes out on Monday, right now you're listening to it, you the listener, on Monday. I went on Sunday night to game 3. At this moment, as you're listening to this, you know they either got swept, in which case, if that happened, and you see me today, or for the next 3-4 days.
You're not going to see him. He's not going to surface.
I am going to be very unpersonable.
His family's
like, you'll
going to
be like, Chris,
hiding.
I love the show. And I'll be like, yeah, thanks for listening. Like, I'm just going to, like, I'm not going to, I'm just, I'll be better. Give me some space. All right. It's possible that they're also getting ready to stave off elimination on Monday afternoon because they won one of these 3 games, but they've got to hold it off. I'm going to that game as well. So if you see me on Monday after this episode comes out, I'm very tense. Or they actually won games 2 and game 3. I'm going to 4, hoping to watch them win. It's going to be like the greatest night or afternoon of my life. I'm going to be so excited about this whole thing. And if you see
Weren't
me,
you married
I'm
in the
just
afternoon?
walking around. Erica's like about 7th right now. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you are.
No, I'm the last.
We've had 3 kids. We've had 3 kids. That I know those are above there. Because they're kids. They're kids. They're kids.
I know where I rank.
We got
Hannah.
the White Sox
Don't
winning
worry
the
about
World
it.
Series. That one jumps up above the wedding day. I mean, that one's up there. Local basketball legend Danny Maloney once hit a shot in the sectional championship for Brother Ice back in 1994. That was pretty big.
Chris, you're a jerk.
You're in there somewhere, honey. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. On the phone line with me right now, Glenn Pniewski from the Village of Evergreen Park, and Glenn puts together all kinds of really cool events for the village and assists in all kinds of different ways and puts out all those emails that you'll get in your mailbox when it tells you what's going on around town, and he jumps on this show and tells us as well. How are you, Glenn?
I am doing well. Hey, and it was very good to see you at Oktoberfest last Saturday.
Glenn, I felt like I saw so many people. You came walking up, I had a conversation with you, you left, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I wanted to hang with Glenn more, but it was just, there were so many people there, and our tent was swamped with people that wanted to come over and see the EP podcast.
Yeah, I first of all, personally with that Oktoberfest, I will admit and give credit where it's due. I had actually very little to do with that, other than promote it. That was Recreation Department and the mayor and the trustees and the people who came out to operate the beer garden, and of course the guys over at the community center, Scotty and his staff, and then a few of our public works guys were working. It was a long day, and they battled through a little rain, but it really didn't seem to hurt the event at all. And that was, that was a nice prototype for Oktoberfest's, fall events to come.
And you know what was fun about it is that if you live in the Village of Evergreen Park, you got a chance to bump into a lot of the people that are decision makers in your village. The mayor was walking around there. I saw village trustees, several of them that were in the crowd and helping out and at different tents and pouring beer. The former mayor, Jim Sexton, was in there. His wife put him to work. He was running around doing stuff.
And, of course, the rainbow shined over Evergreen Park and it didn't land in Circle Park, but it was up there, And it was great to have the youth department and Paisha back. She sold out of hot dogs. I could have told her that would happen because she has, there was a lot of great vendors there, but she has the fun stuff.
I know, and she made such a big deal about make sure you buy my hot dogs on this show, and people ate them, and that was a good thing. All right, so that was a big success. What was funny was at the very beginning when they were setting it up, I had a couple of people mention me like, hey, this might be the only time we ever do this because it was a lot of work. And at the end of it, the village was basically anybody I talked to was like, we're going to keep doing this. This was awesome.
Oh, right. Basically what they had done was they had taken that day in the park, which we haven't been able to do for a couple of years. And of course, they had that really good one, back in, I think it was 19. And basically you had that as a template, it just literally lift the thing up on its feet and move it into October, change it up a little bit to make it seasonal. And hey, you'll learn with each of these events and how to change and make them better for the next year. But I don't think the rain itself kept people away in droves. I think there was a good crowd out there. And like the mayor just said, I think next year when we work on this, the only difference is that at the top of the flyer, it says second annual Oktoberfest.
Now, listen, you have other things going on in October. We talked about it on Friday's show. We kind of touched on some of these things, but the weekend around Halloween is going to be a little busy around here. There's a village event over at 50 Acre Park, and there's FantaSciFest. What do you want to tell us about first?
Well, let's just take it all in order. I mean, head on over. It's EP resident kids age really up to 12. With their families, come in and take part of the Halloween parade over there, 50 Acre Park, 91st and Rockwell. I'm sure they'll have tents out and things like that. Let's also pray for decent weather because if it rains, it gets kind of sloshy, But they'll have a pumpkin patch and the Halloween parade and just all sorts of events. They have a hay ride that you can take, goodie bag. And the big thing is, I want to mention that the folks who operate the barn over there will both be open. They will have the barn open, for tours. So, stop in and say hello to Turk and Willie and Ariel and, all the friendly folks hanging out at the barn. And the volunteers over there just love to greet people and have people come through there. So that looks like it'll be a fun event. But then that's only day one of a 3-day weekend, because the next day, Saturday, the 30th, is we will have our second annual FantaSciFest, which we had that first one back in February of 2020, right before COVID shut everything down. And for being the first one, it was very successful. The vendors were happy, and people came through, dressed up and just had a ball. And so it's basically the same format. We'll have the vendors upstairs in the auditorium, and then downstairs we'll have the Dungeons and Dragons cave, where they were already organizing, some campaigns. I absolutely know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. But then we had another guy there who actually runs just regular board games. And people last year were sitting in with him all day too. So, and then we will have refreshments on site. We'll have a movie festival going constantly. So and because it's being Halloween, anyone who comes in costume it doesn't matter if you're 2, it doesn't matter if you're 36, you get a little goodie bag with a raffle ticket, and it's enough to win a nice prize. So,
and that works really well because of the fact that for these fantasy fests, for these sci-fi fest, for FantaSciFest, you're really into the idea of cosplay. Some people like to dress up that way. So the adults, can dress up just as much as the kids on Halloween weekend. And that one goes from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Saturday, October the 30th at the Senior Center at 9547 South Holman Avenue. If somebody, like you're talking about all these different things that are happening there, if somebody wanted to be a vendor, if somebody said, hey, I want to do something for it, I want to be involved in this, do they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually the best email address on that is epinf@hotmail.com.
It's info without the O at the end of it. epinf@hotmail.com, and Glenn will get your information.
We have spots for because I keep it quaint. I've only got spots for about 8 or 9 vendors because I don't like to have competitors. I like to have one of each kind of thing. And I've got 3 or 4 full already. So, and they have to be genre vendors, that are offering things in that line, little fantasy, movie, comic book kind of a thing. I've had people approach me, basically they want to have a garage sale at their table, and I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. So
I have my entire collection of GoBots, and I want to sell them at your FantaSciFest. Is that what you were getting?
There you go. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, right.
Let's take a look at Halloween on the 31st. The Village putting out the Halloween hours, and since it's on a Sunday, you get 8 hours of trick-or-treating, which I think is solid. I like the noon until 8 p.m. hours that I'm seeing on the Village website.
After 6 with an adult, just get out there and have a good time. And if the house doesn't want to participate in it, which is fine, just keep your light turned off. Maybe put a little sign on the front door. But you don't get a lot of that. I think, again, being on a Sunday afternoon, and I understand it gets tiring, but you got to be a kid at heart.
How does it get tiring? I don't know. I love how you do this. You're trying to make sure everybody's happy because you represent the Village, but it's Halloween.
I'll be out there all day. If I could go out trick or treating, I would. So let's just hope that we don't get hit with a snowstorm like we did a few years ago.
I always thought that we should do adult trick or treating, where if I go to your house and I say trick or treat, you drop a can of Miller Lite into my bag. Can we organize something like that as well? I'll dress up. I promise.
I will tell you this, Chris. If you come to my home, costume or not, with a trick or treat bag, I will put a can of Miller Lite into your bag. Count on that one.
I get muscle aches all the time. I've gone from being able to do whatever I want to and not feeling any pain to basically getting pain for any kind of physical activity. Good news, there's a local family-owned Southside business that provides a CBD topical that will not break the bank. Creaky Bone Balm offers concentrated relief for creaky bones. It is an effective hemp-based CBD in a rejuvenating balm. And guess what? It's made in small batches, always free of preservatives, and all natural ingredients. It's great for muscle aches, tension, inflammation, joint pain. You can even use it for skin ailments like burns and dry, cracked skin. Right now, go to creakybone.com and use the promo code BASEMENT. Get 20% off your order. And now check out the new 2,500 milligram balm with reduced pricing on their classic balms right now at creakybone.com. Joining me down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, Amy Kazin from Evergreen Park Community High School. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, this episode being recorded through different moments of the ALDS, and Amy came walking up my driveway to me screaming out loud because Luis Robert just tied up a ball game 2-2 with a ball off the wall. And my son just mentioned to me, hurry up with your interview because I hate you so much, Dad, because I paused live television. Think about what the world is like, Amy, where I could just pause TV so we could chat real quick. And then I get to go back to what's going on.
So sorry that my timing is so bad.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. You have a lot going on over at the high school right now, and you normally do some fun stuff around Halloween. Tell me about what you guys are doing this year.
Yep, Halloween's entertainment is covered. We have a couple of different events going on Halloween week for the community. Our first is our Halloween happenings on Tuesday the 26th, where the kids can come out and trick-or-treat on our East Drive, similar to our drive-through last year, except this year the kids can park and get out of the car and walk that East Drive and trick-or-treat with our clubs and sports and interact with the kids. We've got some games that they can play along that drive. The drumline's going to play, color guard's going to be there doing some dancing with the kids. It'll be a good time.
But instead of drive-through, they get to walk through this year.
Correct.
Yes,
yeah.
that's
Everybody
awesome.
can park in the main lot and they can walk through. And
that was so much fun last year even with the drive-through, and I can imagine it's going to be even more fun for the kids walking around because every station was cool. The kids were, your kids over there at Evergreen Park really did it up. There were some really interesting costumes, great candy. They really interact with the kids. The band's out there playing like. That's like a must-do thing, especially if you have little kids around the holiday, I think.
We were so happy with the turnout last year. We ran out of candy twice. I had to run to the store twice in the hour and a half. It was fantastic. So we hope we're going to have the same turnout again this year.
That's awesome. On what day again is that?
Tuesday the 26th from 4 to 5:30. You park in the main lot and then go walk up and down the East Drive over by the brand new baseball and softball fields. Awesome.
Very, very cool. And then what else do we have going on this month?
Later that week, our fall show is live and in person. EP Drama is presenting Clue, the musical, based on the old board game.
Is the musical based on the Tim Curry movie?
No.
Okay.
Totally different. Traditional characters from the board game, Colonel Mustard, Professor Plum, etc., etc. Completely audience interactive. The cast does not know who the killer is until the show starts. The audience actually pulls the cards that go into the confidential file during the show. So the cast doesn't know what's going into the file until the show starts. The audience gets to play the game.
Interactive Clue as a musical, and the cast doesn't know who the killer is.
Until after the show starts.
Oh, this sounds awesome.
There are 216 possible endings, so both shows will definitely be different. Tickets are $6 for adults, $5 for students and seniors, available at the door or online ahead of time.
You're going to get me in the door for this one, Amy. I mean, that sounds really cool. What days is this again?
Thursday and Friday, October 28th and 29th.
And the 29th.
Both at 7.
Yeah.
The Thursday, Friday, because we're definitely hoping for playoff football on that Saturday, the 30th.
There you go. Man, oh man, just so busy right now. There's so much going on in the EP and a lot going on over at the school. I mean, we have head coach Jerry Verdi on here each and every Friday, and we have him on for the weekend update to talk about the team. Team's been doing well. You can't win every game, but he was telling me like it looks like it's going to be playoffs, so you're likely going to have a playoff game that weekend as well. And you have all of that stuff going on that last week of October. So remember, you've got Trick or Treat on that Tuesday right before Halloween, and then also on that Halloween weekend over there at Evergreen Park Community High School, you've got 2 live performances on Thursday and Friday night of Clue. It's interactive, and the audience is going to solve the murder, and nobody knows until the end. That's incredible to me. I can't wait to see that.
Awesome. Hope we'll get a lot of folks that'll be coming out for one of those 2 shows.
All right, I got to go see whether or not I'm going to be happy or if I'm going to get my heart broken. The people listening right now know what happened. I have no idea. Thanks, Amy.
Go Sox.
Over the past few years, I have learned so much from small business owners in Evergreen Park about how confusing owning a small business can be. And when you throw in health insurance, forget it. Nobody understands how that works. If you own a business, big or small, it's one of the biggest expenses you have all year long. And yet, we all wait until open enrollment at the end of the year, and then we think to ourselves, next year I'll get a jump on it. And then it's another year of paying way too much. If you're a business owner, big or small, HR representative that wants to impress the boss, give Butch Zemar of Elite Benefits of America a call. Save yourself or your boss thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars a year. Reach out to Butch right now. 708-535 3006 or shoot him an email, butch@elitebenefits.net. And be sure to check out the Zmar podcast. Don't wait till the last minute. Put Butch Zmar to work for you now. So, the dog. You got to hear this one, Hannah. The dog, we got this dog because it was COVID and I wanted to cheer my kids up. And I wanted a dog, and I'd always wanted a dog. And the only person opposed to getting a dog in our household of 5 was Erica.
Of course, I remember this.
Right. And now the dog is basically Erica's dog.
It is her dog.
He is. Yes, he's my dog.
He loves her.
He is the 4th child.
She loves the dog. The kids make
snuggle.
jokes. The kids make jokes that like he's actually the favorite in the entire house over them. That's what they're like.
it's true.
That's the joke, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It's the truth.
The dog gets everything from Erica. So I
Never gets in trouble.
I get aggravated with the dog. The dog digs holes in my backyard.
Kills rodents.
Jump. Well, that's what I was going to get to. So maybe about 3 weeks ago, I find a dead mouse in the backyard. Thankfully, it's not my house. I would lose my mind. All these sightings are in the backyard. So I'm like, why did this dog? And the dog easily bit a chunk out of this mouse. So Erica's like defending the dog, and I'm like, you're disgusting. And then you come in and you lick my face with your mouse guts on your tongue. Like, I'm just disgusted with this dog. I'm like, stop eating mice. I'm all aggravated with him, right? So now the other day, right?
Yes.
I go out in the backyard, and there's the adult mouse. And I had to go out and get pictures. Like, I was like, is this a rat or is this a mouse or what is this? Like,
And
I was
he
like,
had to send me pictures.
then I sent her pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I
we
was
were
like,
out together.
Look at this thing. Yeah, look at this thing. And the dog bit the entire stomach out of this mouse.
Yeah,
and
we
left
were at
its
Rock
carcass.
Island Public
Right,
House, and
right.
you're getting these text messages
Yeah.
of this.
And I'm like, why is he
dead
sending
mouse.
me pictures of this dead mouse while I'm trying to eat my
I'm
food?
like, look what this dumb dog did. Then I go into the garage and I see that the mice were starting to make a home in the garage. So I go from dumb dog to now I encourage the dog to eat mice, and it's driving Erica nuts. Because I'm like, if any mouse gets in this backyard, eat it. So now, like when I let him out
But
in the
hope the
middle
mouse
of the night.
doesn't already have rat poison in it, because it could kill the dog.
Yeah.
Listen. All's fair in defending my garage.
Your crumbling garage
Mice.
with gaps and holes in it where
Right.
rodents just run free and clear.
I don't think he's swallowing the chunk that he takes out of it. I think he bites it and
I
spits it
don't
out.
think he's eating it.
I don't think he's
think
eating
he
the mouse.
thinks he's playing with it.
No, I think
and he
he's
kills
killing it. No, I think he's killing it on purpose. Now when I open up the back door, I do it real quick. And you'll notice every once in a while when you open up the back door real quick at night, like he'll be off like a shot because he sees something in the grass out there, right? And I'm like, get him. And it's driving her nuts. It's driving her nuts now because I thought the dog was useless. Like to me, the dog climbs into my bed, takes up space. I have to kind of push it out of the, I'm going to say this nicely, push it out of the way with my foot. 2 a.m. sometimes I think
You
I
kick
just
him.
reach out and just pop him right off the bed.
He gets out of the bed now when Chris comes
I'm
into
like,
the bed.
because I come in and he's taking up room. He's like, you gotta let me into my bed. You're the dog. Then go find a space that's left over someplace. That's what I tell the dog. I mean, it's ridiculous. I was having back problems because this dog keeps climbing into bed and he stretches out. He's like, this is my bed now. Like,
Poor
knock it
Hunter.
off. Right.
Poor Hunter. He
He's
just
look,
loves you.
He just loves us.
just-
He's a
loves
great
you.
dog. He's a sweet dog. I'm not saying I don't like the dog, but the dog really served no purpose until he became a mouse hunter. And now the dog has a purpose.
I think he hunts rabbits and also
Hunt away.
anything else that comes in our yard.
name
He just can
finally
catch
fits
the,
him.
the
Hunter.
mice. That's
Right.
all.
His name finally fits him. He's a hunter.
He is a
He is
hunter.
a hunter.
Get out there and do some hunting. You know, like I'm into it. And she's like, no, don't tell the dog to do that. And like, because this is her baby. And I'm like, no. Everybody here has something they got to do. And this is your job. Stop vermin from getting into my garage.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nudist basement. And the nudist basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudist basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. the broad basement. Sláinte.
Well, there was no way that I was going to let this show end without chiming in after going to the ball game Sunday night. And I can only say one thing. Sox and 5.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found. And always at the EPPodcast.com.